Today's experiment is using red cabbage. So we've got a piece of red cabbage. You should be able to get this at any Coles or Woolies or fruit and veggie shop, greengrocer, etc. It's a fairly common foodstuff, used usually not so much for difference of flavour from normal cabbage, but difference of colour, make your salad a bit interesting. So what you need to do basically is shred a bunch of it and put it in anything. It doesn't have to be a beaker. The whole point of this experiment is you don't need real scientific glassware. So we have a beaker for this because it was convenient for us to boil it in. So boil it for half an hour or so, try and extract as much as you can, and then pour it through a tea strainer into a glass, and you'll get some liquid that looks a bit like this. This is basically purple cabbage juice. It might look a bit like a red wine, but I wouldn't suggest sipping it. It's not toxic, but it's fairly unpleasant to drink. But that's now your indicator, and that will tell you whether things are acids or bases. So we're going to, again, go relatively low-tech and home style. We've got a teaspoon to put our samples in with, and we've got drinking glasses to use as, instead of test tubes, basically to test our examples in. What we're going to actually test is a number of just household materials, and so this is an exploration, like the bouncing balls experiment, because there's no regular thing. So we've got soda water, baby powder, dishwashing liquid, laundry liquid, dishwashing liquid, vinegar, soap. What have we got? Some bleach, some shampoo, some Gaviscon, some orange juice, some citric acid, some salt, some shaving cream, and some sunscreen and moisturizer. So, and a handy wipe, and some bread, and a grape, and a cracker. Tracy does a very good job. Tracy is our lab tech here at campus, and she does a great job of setting us up. You need not do 15 things like we've done here. Do 4 or 5 things that you can find around home. There are a couple of things. So you can do this one as a predict, observe, explain again. So is soda water going to be acid or base? Now, acid, most people have a sense of what an acid is. A strong and concentrated acid will harm your flesh and really hurt, but something like a lemon juice is an acid. Some people claim that it will make your urine alkaline or make your body alkaline. That's an interesting and somewhat shaky claim, but lemon itself is acidic. Things like vinegar are acids. I'm giving away some answers here. But is soda water going to be an acid? And the opposite of an acid, sometimes we say alkali, but scientists or chemists say base, partly because it's easier to say and partly because alkali has a different meaning in chemistry. So are things going to be acid or base? Now, what we need to know is what happens when you put the purple cabbage juice or red cabbage juice with an acid and a base. So given that I already said that vinegar is an acid, I'm going to grab that as an acid. And I suspect you've just magically seen the little capsule of shampoo appear on the desk. How's your upside down and backward reading? Let's try that way. So it just happens to be a fairly clear shampoo. A lot of them are kind of creamy coloured or coloured. That will just make it a bit easier for us to see what's going on. And then another one that Tracy suggested is shaving cream, because it's not clear but it is white. So we can put a little bit of shaving cream down. Let's work. Okay, and we can put a little bit of shampoo down. Sorry, I don't think I coordinated the skills right. And we will put a little bit of vinegar in a glass when my lovely assistant comes and puts some vinegar in a glass for me. Hi, this is Sue. So if you would be so kind as to pour some vinegar into the glass there, that would be awesome. Because how much? Just a splash. Perfect. About as much as you would for a drink. Okay. So what I'm going to do is basically, I'm going to use the spoon, and I'll actually get Susie to do it because I've got shampoo all over my other hand. But we can use the spoon, and we can use it multiple times as long as we don't contaminate it with other stuff. So if you would please put a spoon of the red cabbage juice in the vinegar, we'll see what happens. So the red cabbage juice looks black there, but it's a dark, dark blue. You can probably see it better in the spoon. So what happens when we put it in an acid? Remember that the vinegar is an acid. So we put it in, and it goes to a quite pinky reddy colour. So you can see that. That's the colour that it is in an acid. Now let's have a look in the shampoo. So about a splash into the shampoo. And the bit that's in the shampoo, because it's kind of spread out either side, has kind of gone colourless, I think. Let me see if I can make a little well. So right in the middle of that. Yep, so it's staying blue. So we kind of have the sense that in an acid it's pink and in a base it's blue. So based on that we can make a prediction for the shaving cream, because the shaving cream we think is a base as well. So what colour should it be if it's a base? Okay, go. And you can see that it has actually stayed blue. So our prediction was supported by the evidence. We thought that it was a base like the shampoo, because most soaps are bases, and so you might be able to use that in making some of your other predictions. So it's red in an acid, blue in a base. There's one warning that I've got for you, which is that if you use bleach, and we'll show you what happens when you use bleach. Well, let's do it first and then talk about it. So I'll put a splash of bleach in my test tube glass, and a spoonful of red cabbage juice helps the medicine go down. I don't know if you caught it. It happened quite quick, but it went bright yellowy bluey colour for a moment and then faded away to almost nothing. So you can see yellow colour now. Now hang on, we said red in acid, blue in base. What's yellow? It turns out that bleach bleaches the dye, because that's what bleach does, is bleach colours. So the colour of the actual thing in the red cabbage juice that's reacting to the acids and bases gets bleached by bleach, and it changes the colour to a colour that isn't one of our indicator colours. So basically, don't test bleach, although you might be tempted to, because you won't get an accurate result. And don't test anything that's like bleach, like ammonia floor cleaner. Windex, I think, is kind of bleachy, although you can test it, although it's hard to test because it's already blue. But bleach is something that's going to kind of mess with your results. Okay, so with that caveat, let's try about another 3 or 4 things. So we've tried, I think, 4 things already. We've tried vinegar, we've tried bleach, which was a failure, we've tried shaving cream, and we've tried shampoo. So we'll try a couple of other things. Make your predictions. I won't make a prediction, but we'll try and figure out. I've got 4 more glasses, so let's do 4 more. I thought about doing citric acid, which we've got, or tartaric acid, which you might have in your cupboard. Things like bicarb soda or baking soda also you could test. But we decided for our final 3 to do a grape, salt, orange juice and soda water, because they either are at home already, or soda water I think you can usually buy for about 79 cents at Woolies. So these things are all relatively easy and accessible, but so was everything else on our list as well. So we've got a bunch of stuff, and your goal is to test some things. Again, if you've got kids, enlist them and get things for them to suggest and then them to predict, and then we'll see how we go. Okay, so I'm going to start at the other end. Perhaps we'll put our samples out first. So number 1 is soda water. I'm keeping the bottles or containers near the test area so I know which one's which, because otherwise if I get mixed up I won't know which test is reacting on which. Excellent chance that I'm going to spill orange juice everywhere because I haven't got my popper licensed. Okay, so we've got a couple of liquids there. We've got 1 solid, just some salt, just common table salt. And we've got a grape. Now, if I just drip it on the outside of the grape, probably not much is going to happen. So I'm going to kind of attack the grape and smush it open a little bit so that we can get at it. Okay. Right, so what's your prediction for soda water. Susie, what's your guess? Acid or base?
Acid.
Acid. All right. So you want it to go what colour?
Pink.
Okay. So it should go pink if you're correct. Let's test. Yeah, it took a minute, but it's mauve. It's somewhere in the middle between pink and blue. It's definitely purple. It's definitely not blue. So that suggests it must be somewhere in the middle. What about the acid orange juice?
Acid.
Acid orange juice? Yeah, because particularly if you get the wrong bit. I've got a lump of cabbage in my cabbage juice here. All right, let's see. So it should turn from orange to kind of pinky orange, peachy colour. And it seems to be, right? That's kind of a toward the, yeah, there we go. That's quite pink. That's pinker than an orange juice orange. What about salt? Do you think that's going to be an acid or a base?
Base.
Base. All right. Let's see. It's a little bit harder to see. Maybe camera up the top, and we'll see what happens there. Doesn't seem to be doing much of anything. It did look as though it smoked a bit there. I don't think it's changed to blue, but it hasn't changed away from blue. Remember, it's blue in the cup. I think it just hasn't affected. I don't think salt is either an acid or a base. That's another one to watch out for. If something doesn't change the indicator, just go back to the orange juice for a minute. It's got redder with time, and the soda water also has got redder with time. It's still purple, not red, but it's purpler. All right, and the grape. Acid or base for the grape?
Oh, I choose. I don't know.
Okay.
Acid.
So, I mean, if we guessed that orange juice was acid, this is another fruit. So that seems reasonable. Let's just check. Remember that we've got to do it on a background of green as well, so it's a bit confusing. Again, I don't think it's changed. I think if we compare the blue in there and the blue in there, that one's a bit thicker, but it's basically the same shade and the same colour. So I don't think the grape is very either acidic or basic. Okay, a couple more liquids. Extra bonuses for the director's cut. We'll put some Gaviscon, which is for upset stomachs, and something that actually looks very similar in the glass, some milk, which I think Tracy raided from the fridge where it normally goes in coffee. So, okay, what are your predictions on those ones? Gaviscon?
I'd say base, because it's supposed to
help your stomach when it's acidy.
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense. What about the milk? Does milk also help your stomach when it's acidy?
Yes, it does.
Sort of. Okay, all right. Let's test. So remind me what colour they'll go if they are
blue.
Bases?
Blue.
They should go or stay blue, right? So in the Gaviscon, oh, give it a stir just to make it look really gross. That looks still pretty blue to me. Throw in a bit of extra. Yeah, that stayed blue. So your prediction is supported, although I have just contaminated my spoon. That's okay. I'll use pouring for this one. So, and then for milk, which we also thought was a base, so it should also stay blue. Let's see. And yes, it looks like a lovely Blue Lagoon milkshake. So yes, those two are both basic or don't change the indicator much. You can explore with this. You may find some colours other than what we got, because there are sometimes in-between colours of things as they interact. Actually, if you go back to these now, you'll see that the Gaviscon is much more greeny colour. So it's more toward the middle. Maybe it's bleaching it a bit. This has remained quite blue. So those are different, although they're both kind of similar. One of the nice things with this indicator from a style perspective is that it actually has a graduation of colours, almost a colour spectrum, from red at one end to blue at the other end, like the visible spectrum of light, rather than just having because some other indicators it's red all the way right up to the middle and then it's green all the way, or it's pink all the way right up to the middle and then it's colourless all the way. But this one has a nice colour gradation. But hopefully you've done some predictions. You might have a table a bit similar to the week 2 experiment with bouncing balls that the online people did, where you predict what's going to happen, observe what does happen and record your results, and then explain why your prediction was either supported by the evidence or wasn't supported by the evidence. Some of ours were, some of ours weren't. Have fun with it.